Sup, it's Sharan recording for the third time because this camera failed like twice already. And I am kind of annoyed of it, but it's fine. Because I am kind of passionate about making this video. It's a review. It's first for my channel, but then I'm going to do it because I am extremely passionate about this like IP in particular, and it's something very close to my heart, and I am passionate about it. So here's my review of the Devil May Cry anime that Netflix put out. So I'm going to discuss the good and bad, like the both sides of the coin here. Okay. So let's start with the good. The vibe, right? The dark, gothic, edgy vibe that Devil May Cry usually brings. Well, they nailed it. They nailed it almost nearly perfectly. Like from the start of the show, it the pickup and everything, that is great. That was very well done. And obviously the soundtracks were of quality. They did not miss with the soundtracks. They were not playing. I could tell they put a lot of effort and passion into the soundtracks. They were great. And even the parts where they mimic in-game music, like the vocals and stuff, that was also pretty good. And especially the animation for the first up until 3 episodes was exceptional. It was like how the Devil May Cry games would look like if they were animated, like the flowy animation. Even though Dante didn't really use the sword in up until the first 3 episodes, it was still pretty good. It was still like flowy. It was still Dante being Dante, his quirky dialogues. It was so badass. I liked the direction they were going in up until the first 3 episodes. That was amazing. Well, now for the criticisms of the show that I personally have. I think I don't know how many of you are like fans, but then if you enjoyed the show, that's good for you. But this is just my opinion, so if you want, you can reject it. It doesn't matter. If you like the show and if you enjoyed the show, then my opinion shouldn't matter to you. Criticisms. Let's start. First of all, lady's costume. I get that she's part of a task force, demon hunting task force, dark ops, whatever, but it doesn't change the entire series. It's That was a criticism a lot of YouTubers had from for the anime at the very beginning. They're like, lady's costume just does not look good, and then we were all expecting it to change. It did not change. It stayed the same, and the show itself was more about her than it was about Dante. And Dante is the main character of Devil May Cry, and the show was more about Lady instead. And it was kind of like what Gojo did with Jujutsu Kaisen, only this was forced. Lady was given more depth, Lady was given more character development, but surprisingly at the end, we see no growth from her. Absolutely no growth. I mean, I'll give you an example of such a thing. This is spoiler, so skip ahead. But Lady betrays Dante at the end. After everything Dante has done for her, after, him going rough and tumble for her, saving her like 3 times, and her seeing that he's a good guy, she still betrays him and believes the big bad. Let me talk about him, like the vice president or whoever. Never have I ever seen a piece of media mock a religious person. Like, no, they didn't mock a religious person, they made it look like being religious is corny. And that guy overdid the hell out of it. I mean, he was a little too religious for anybody's liking. I mean, sure, look, if you're a religious and faithful person, that's a complete W. But then after you watch this show, you're gonna, a little bit consider, you're like, do I really sound like that? Damn. I mean, not to toot your horn, but then they kind of ruined the idea of a religious character with that guy. That guy sucked. And obviously, there's the other character called the Texan president or whoever, who's the president of the United States, like, with a yeehaw accent. It felt forced as hell. His accent felt extremely forced and corny. Oh, don't even get me started on ladies' dialogue. There hasn't gone a single piece of dialogue where she hasn't said the F word. My god, like, especially at the most unnecessary part, she's just being overly edgy, in my opinion. Like, I get the entire idea of Devil May Cry is to be edgy, but then this was overkill. Like, lady really overdid it with the swearing and with the, I don't know, what do you call it, like the edgy language. She kind of ruined it. And since the show was basically about her, it made it almost near impossible not to notice that. Okay, so there's that. My criticism number two from this show is a valid one. All right, hear me out. The bosses are 3D. Up until the first three episodes, Dante was fighting, all that smooth action was going on. But the third episode, when Rabbit or whoever that guy is, he brings out his army. Those are, Devil May Cry previous bosses. Uh, like, Cavalier Angelo, Echidna, Plasma, and then who else was there? Agni and Rudra. Why? Them being 3D didn't fit in with the vibe of the show and didn't fit in with the style of the show because Dante was very 2D and he was very fluid, the way he was moving and stuff, and they were 3D and choppy. Like, it did not fit in, it did not make sense that Dante is fighting a choppy, slow 3D boss character who who have been done dirty in this show. I'll tell you that much. Like, there are fan favorites like Cavalier Angelo. You see what happens to him, you'll get to know. You see what happens to him. They, like, these were favorite characters. These are famous characters. We like, and if you're especially a Devil May Cry fan, you will like them. And let's just say the way they go out is absolutely dirty done to them. Absolutely dirty. And obviously, I have the criticisms about the 3D animation. Like, even in the first episode, if you looked real hard, you could notice it. But then, yeah, it's there. We know it's there, but it's fine. We can overlook that. But from episode 3 onward, it is really hard to avoid the 3D animation and the way it choppily looks. And it looks kind of out of place, in my opinion. And this is like a small nitpick, and I know it's beginning of the story. This is before Devil May Cry 3 or whatever. Dante does not have ebony or ivory, and that kind of pissed me off because he kept breaking the guns. He only had the MW11s or whatever, and then he fucking broke them. That's it. So that's another criticism of mine. My last criticism is a huge spoiler, so if you want, you can skip to the end of the video. But Virgil, the arguably the coolest character in all of video games, was done kind of dirty in this show. Because, okay, look, I'm not talking about the part where, Virgil comes as Plasma. No. Plasma comes as Virgil and then that's like a fake thing and Dante fights him. No, not that part. At the very end, Virgil shows up. And if you follow the original story of Devil May Cry, it's like from Devil May Cry 3, he's put into the demon world where he goes to fight Mundus, and then he is enslaved by Mundus and made into Nero Angelo, right? Well, here he is Nero Angelo. They got that part right, but he chose to be Nero Angelo. Does that make sense? So, okay, so I think they're kind of following the accuracy here by giving Nero Angelo as keeping Nero Angelo as Virgil's devil trigger. That was good, but then Virgil is working for Mundus, and if you watch the show, like, the story is obviously not the same. There is a very clear steer away from the story, the canon, but in like, and I saw the vision also, that there being good people in the hell, or the demon world or whatever, but Virgil is working for Mundus, right? That did not really fit in. That did not fit in my opinion. It did not fit in. Yeah, this is all I had to say about this show. I mean, I don't know how. If you feel the same way, please do leave a like and a comment on how you feel about this show, because they could have done so much with this, right? Or even if they were following their fanon, like their own canon, the little twist, they could have done so much better. Like if you saw the last episode, Dante's Devil Trigger is 2D, but the Devil Trigger introduction, the most hype part, where Dante becomes his Devil Trigger form, why is that 3D? They can. I mean, if they were going to animate it 2D in the first place, why didn't they just do that? I mean, I'm sure they don't have infinite budget or whatever, but then they could have taken their time with this, right? They could have, taken things a little bit slower, and then they could have really polished the 2D animation. Or even if they were trying for a 3D animation, I would have still watched it. People would have still watched it, even if it was 3D. But then, they chose to do like a little slop in between that did not really fit in with me. And then I overall, I'd say I give this show like a 6 out of 10. I think 6 is modest. I think a 5 out of 10. And it really hurt me because I really, really like Devil May Cry. And to be fair, I didn't expect much from the show to begin with, but it's Devil May Cry. I mean, what did I? It's one of the, in my opinion, one of the best series. But I'm just saying they could have done this a lot better. Yeah, that's about it. If you like reviews, please leave a comment and ask me to review something else next. I'll see you in the next one. If you have something to say about Devil May Cry, or if you disagree with me, please put that in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.